I'm pretty stoked to be here. Sometimes when I speak, I might get emotional, so if I get to that point, just don't judge me for it, okay? When we're going. I may scream, yell, cry. We'll see where we go. But entrepreneurship and what I'm going to be talking about today is something that I love. Super passionate about it, especially because we live in a time right now in history that every single one of you can do anything you want to do, right? 150 years ago, if you were born a farmer, you were probably going to be a farmer, right? Today, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter what your parents do, what your education was, how much money you have in your bank account when you were born. It doesn't matter. You can be anything you want. And so that's something for me that is really exciting because we have the ability to create the life that we want doing what we love to do. Instead of, sometimes we get in this notion of, I have to go to school, I have to get this degree, go do this job, and then I can go do what I want to do. And yes, you need that experience. We're going to talk a little bit about why that's important in a minute. But if you get nothing from today, know that I hope when you leave this room, you can leave with whatever ideas you have in your head that are very unique to you, that you can make them happen, make a living doing it, and love the life that you're living. Cool? Okay. So this quote has become one of my favorite quotes over the last little bit. Can anybody stand up and just read it loudly for me? Give me somebody. There's like 100
I'll do it.
Thank you.
To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour.
Thank you very much. So I really like this quote. In a minute, we're going to go through a little history of my life, how I got to where we are right now. But this moment, these kind of defining moments, have happened several times. And I would say that in your lifetime, you can look back and say, I've got one or two moments that really defined the course of my life up to this point. And you're going to have more of those. And we'll talk about some of mine today that got me to living in Cedar, owning a gym, and doing what we're doing now, which was not what I had planned a long time ago. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to be willing to invest in yourself, take the things that you learned from lectures like these, from your classes, from your studies, and your own self-education, to be prepared for these moments. Because I think I can also look back at moments and say, I think that could have been an opportunity, but I either didn't take advantage of it, or I was too scared to do it, or I wasn't prepared, right? I couldn't go into the moment and say, I'm ready to do that, and I had to walk away from it, okay? So in 2009, I was graduating high school. I graduated in 2008. This was my plan for my life. Okay, this is what I thought was going to happen. I even have a little post-it note that I don't know where it is now, but I wrote this down. Where I wanted to go to BYU and I wanted to play basketball. That was the dream. I loved playing basketball in high school. It's all I did. If I could play basketball at BYU, my life would be fulfilled. Then, if I couldn't go play professional when I was 18, you still dream that you can make it to the NBA. Probably not going to make it when you're a 6'4" white guy. But that was the dream, right? If I don't make that, I'm going to go to dental school because I want to run my own business, but I need a path how to get there, and I have no idea what it is. So dental school sounds like a good plan. Go to dental school, get married after dental school, and I'm from Tennessee. I grew up in the Army. My dad's in the Army. We bounced around a lot, but I went to all of high school in Tennessee and loved the South. So that was the plan. Go back, live in Tennessee, buy some land, have some kids, and be a dentist after the basketball dream didn't work out. None of this happened, obviously. I live in Cedar. I own a gym now, and I'm not a dentist. So now I kind of want to go through some of my defining moments of what happened from this point when I was sitting here having this plan for my life to where I am now. So I go to BYU. I ended up playing rugby there. Ended up winning 4 national championships for them. Had a blast. But how I got to the rugby team is kind of one of those defining moments for me. I get to BYU, I try to walk onto the basketball team, didn't make it past the first cut. I'm not sure they even knew I was even there for the tryout. So walk away pretty depressed. Like, what am I going to do? I can't play basketball. Honestly, I hate BYU. I don't want to be in Utah. I want to go back home to Tennessee and do something else. So for about halfway through my freshman year of college, I was pretty down. I hated life. My mom will tell you, I'd call her, I hate this, I'm coming home. And they just kept trying to get me to stay at BYU, right? So I'm sitting in class, very similar to this auditorium, and underneath my feet is a flyer for the BYU rugby tryouts that afternoon. So I'm sitting next to my roommate, Polynesian roommate, his name was Oliver Amu, sitting there, give him the flyer, because hey, he's Polynesian, he'll play rugby, maybe you should go, right? So I give him the flyer, say, oh, sweet as, man, let's go. All right, I'll go with you just because it's fun. Go to tryouts, I make the team, he doesn't. Kind of awkward, right? Roommate conversation for a minute. But I made the team, and it ends up being one of the best decisions that I made just showing up to that tryout. But what happens if I don't put myself in that tryout? No idea how to play rugby, I never made that team, right? So being able to step up and put yourself in a situation that I'm uncomfortable. I remember the tryout, the coach asking me, have you ever touched a rugby ball? Nope. Do you know what rugby is? Nope. All right, just come run. They ran me through a bunch of drills. And I made the team because I was an athlete. And I talked to my little brother about this a lot, that opportunity was given to me because I was an athlete. Because even when I didn't make the basketball team, it didn't stop me doing what I love doing, of being an athlete, working out, which is now an even bigger part of my life. But that gave me that opportunity to step up and be there because I invested that time every day. I'll never forget either the first game I played on after I made the team. We're sitting on the field. BYU is fairly good at rugby. We generally would beat people by between 50 and 100 until we got to the playoffs. So my freshman year, I ended up making it on the reserve team. Never played in a game until about halfway through the season. And we're winning by like 50 or something. And the coach goes, all right, Will, come put him in. And I remember the assistant coach, what the hell are you doing? He doesn't know how to play. Well, let's just see what he does. So I went in the game, I caught my first pass, I did well enough to keep going, and we won our national championship my first year on the team in 2009, and I was a reserve. Then I went on a mission, served in Salt Lake, and then I came back to BYU. And this is where things kind of started to come full circle. My last companion on my LDS mission was the head coach, Coach Rose at BYU, was his nephew. We ended up hitting it off, had a great time. I ended my mission, I came home, and he was like, why don't you try out again? Why don't you try out for the basketball team? He was like, oh, I really like rugby, I'm going to try out again. And then he convinced me, right? I go try out again. I actually made it to the last cut this time after my mission of being on the basketball team. So I sat there, and I see my name on the basketball roster, I see my name on the rugby roster, and now I get to kind of make a choice. I get to decide, hey, do I want to pursue basketball, or do I want to pursue rugby? And that was a really empowering moment in my life because all of a sudden, this dream that I had as a kid, it was my choice. I got to decide which route am I going to go. And I ended up going with rugby because the choice kind of came down to I can ride the bench on the BYU basketball team or start on the rugby team and see where that takes me. So I chose rugby, and then that also led me kind of deviating from the plan to meet my wife, who's over here in the red, and get married long before I thought I was going to get married. Hence BYU, that's kind of else. You guys may not have that problem. But got married pretty close right after my mission, and continued to play rugby. Played for 3 years. We won 4 national championships in total while I was there. It was a blast. After I graduated from that, I had the opportunity to continue playing and try to make, in this last Olympics, was the first year sevens rugby was back in the Olympics. So when I graduated, I actually had the chance to go and try and make that team. I traveled all over the country, played against all those guys that went. I played against them, but wasn't good enough to make it. Sucks. But it was a really cool opportunity for me that I never would have had if I hadn't walked through those doors and got to where I was. So that's kind of how I got through my fitness, through athletics, and how it got me to graduate BYU. So I graduated BYU, and now it was time to decide, all right, I'm definitely not playing basketball, I'm definitely not going to make any money playing professional rugby, so what do I do? Hated dentistry. Hated it. Tedious things, like being in someone's mouth, was about the worst thing I could do. So I didn't really know what to do. And my wife got an internship at a youth crisis center down in St. George. Worked there for a summer. I went down and just kind of was a scrub for them. Did whatever they wanted me to do. And then ended up getting a job with them when I graduated. I worked there for 2 years. Kind of worked my way up to where I was the youth development director of all the people that had the staff, or the staff that was in charge of all the kids. We had about 100 kids in the program, had about 60 staff that had 24/7 access to those kids. So I worked up to where I was managing all those people. Kind of reached the pinnacle of what I would call the corporate world success ladder. I was making 6 figures. I had a company car. My wife and I bought a house that was way too big for our family, and things were great. I remember kind of from the outside looking in, having these conversations with my wife of, we're doing well. This is what you're supposed to get to. And I just remember thinking, and I hate it. Like, I don't like it. And it's not that I didn't like my job. It's not that I didn't have great people that I was working with, but I wasn't doing what fulfilled me and my life. Because every waking moment that I wasn't working, I was thinking about what can I do to get out of this job. And so when I came to that point, that's when I kind of knew entrepreneurship is for me. That's something that I want to do, because if I'm going to work for someone else, I'm going to spend all this time wondering how I can work for myself and how I can find my own way and do the things that I want to do. And so that kind of started the windfall to get us to where we are now. My wife and I decided after about 2.5 years working there that we were going to leave, that we needed to go. We didn't know where, we didn't know what to do. So we sat down, I'm going to come back to that quote. But we sat down and we thought, what do we like? We love fitness. I did some events in college to put myself through college, so let's go back to what Tyler was talking about. In college, I sold scooters. I buy scooters. You guys know those little motor, like Vespa type stuff. So I worked at a parking, booth guy that does the gate, BYU, if you guys ever seen those. I was the guy that pressed the button. That's all I did all day. Well, behold, I hated that job too. So I decided to quit, and I need to make money to pay rent. So I sold scooters. I'd buy Vespas, and I just figured out how to fix them. Most of the time, Vespas in those scooters, especially the Chinese one, if you just fix the batteries and redo the wiring, they'll start up again if they're not working. So that's all I would do. I'd buy one for like $300, put a new battery in it for $40, and I'd sell it for $800-900. And I'd probably do 2 or 3 a month, and that's how we kind of got through college. So I guess that was kind of the pinnacle of my entrepreneurship life, is kind of starting that and kind of putting a seed in my head of that's how I can make money. I can figure something out, find an opportunity, find something that I can sell my talents, and make money. So all that came back full circle, and we were like, let's do a fitness expo. How many of you guys have heard of FitCon? Does anybody know what FitCon is up north? Okay, so FitCon is a really big fitness expo. I'm talking thousands and thousands of square feet. They bring in pretty big people to come and speak, hundreds of vendors, but it's in Salt Lake. And so we thought, we could do that. It's not that hard. Let's give ourselves 2 months. I'm going to quit my job in a month, and then let's just do the fitness expo in 2 months. All right, let's do it. So I go to the convention center down in St. George, drop $12,000 of our own money of savings on this new building that we're going to rent for a day. It was between 10 and 12 grand to rent that whole thing for a day. Nobody to fill it. Don't even know what to call it. This logo didn't exist, but let's just do it because I got to quit. So we did that, went there, and I just remember we were talking about this on the way in today. We literally had to sell, so we did all the numbers. All right, we dropped 12 grand to rent the building, get all the booths, do everything. Now how do we make money? Well, we have to get vendors. So we figured out that we needed 55 vendors to break even on those booths. So we started driving around. We have a little RAV4. I have 2 kids. We had 1 kid at that time. And so we're literally driving around. My wife's driving me around. I'm in the passenger seat after work, so like 5:30. I have this plastic filing cabinet with everything that has to do with health, wellness, and fitness in Southern Utah, and just names on them. And we got to go to them, and I got to sell them an $800 booth. We had booths that ranged from $300 to $800. So I start walking into these businesses. Hey, my name's Will Taylor. We're doing a Dixie Fitness Expo. Do you want to buy an $800 booth to be in our thing? What are you doing? A fitness expo. Have you ever done it? No. What's the speakers going to be? I don't know. Who's going to present? I don't know. And so the first ones were complete failures. Literally walking in, I was talking to chiropractors, the owner of these gyms, and they were just like, no. So I remember getting in the car and just being like, holy crap, this is going to suck. We just lost 12 grand, and I can't quit my job. So now we don't have any savings. It got better. We did. So we keep going, and things just got better. I just got better at selling it. I got better at what the vision of the Fitness Expo was actually going to be, and we just started selling booths. All of a sudden, you guys know the summit down in St. George? Got the summit to sponsor it. We start putting some speakers together. People start buying in, and we start getting that momentum of, all right, people are buying. Now the conversation's switched in our head of, holy crap, we're getting these $800 checks. What are we really going to do in this thing? Because I've been in the building like twice. Never run a big expo like this before. And so I'm having all these conversations at night of how are we going to make this happen. And to me, that's really what entrepreneurship is about, and what the best definition that I like that comes back to this quote. Pursuing opportunity beyond resources controlled. Every single one of you has an idea, a personality, and an opportunity right now that can make you money. But you don't know how to do it. Are you going to be willing to figure out how to make it happen? That's the key to me between successful entrepreneurs and those that fail. Because there's not a clear path. I remember I took one of Dr. Crash's classes, and we had a conversation, and he asked, if I do all of these models, why do some fail and some don't? Because if I can model everything out, then everybody should be a success. Because it all should be able to fit. Well, it doesn't, right? We know that. He taught that in modeling. It doesn't all fit. It's just helping us minimize risk. But I personally think the difference is, how far are you willing to go on these beyond resources control? How hard are you willing to work? How much do you believe in your vision to get other people to believe in that vision? People started buying booths because we believed it was going to be a success. And then it was a success. We ended up making like a couple $1,000s. So not a huge financial success, but what it did for me and my momentum as an entrepreneur and businessman was killer. I was able to quit my job, we moved to Cedar, and then a whole roller coaster of stuff started to happen. But I guarantee you guys that if you take a second and think of what are my talents, what am I good at, and what am I passionate about, there is something in there that will make you money. You just have to be willing to find out how. I don't know how the gym's going to run. I don't know how I'm going to do a lot of things, but I'm willing to figure it out. And I'm willing to go into those conversations with people, hey, I don't know how to do this, can you help me? And then put things together and educate myself to do it. I think if you are willing to do that, you'll be successful in whatever you do, whether it's your job, your own business, wherever you're at. So write that down. That's a quote that I love and something that I've come to live by. So we bought this, we did this fitness expo, we made a couple $1,000, everybody was happy, but we didn't love St. George, we were still living in St. George. I was getting my MBA here at SUU online. So we decided to sell our home in St. George, move to Cedar City. We actually did all of that in the same day as the expo. It was August 8th, it was my wife's birthday. We did the expo, finished the expo at 5, got home by 6, packed up our entire house by midnight, and at 6 a.m. on Sunday, we drove to Cedar City. Yeah? Great birthday. That's what we did. No idea what we were doing. We had bought a house. We had already sold our house, bought a house here. Didn't know what we were going to do here. Our original plan was I'm going to finish my MBA, because I was already halfway into it, and then we're going to go do something else. I'm either going to go work for a big consulting firm for 2 years, or I'm going to start my own business, not knowing what exactly that was going to be. This is what it became. So we moved here on August 8th, and about 2 weeks later, I walked into CrossFit Cedar City. I loved CrossFit. My wife was a college diver at BYU, so after we finished that, we loved sports, right? But we weren't competing anymore. Once I didn't go anywhere else in rugby, I wanted something. And so CrossFit fulfilled that for us. It became something that we did in St. George. So I walked into the gym, CrossFit Cedar City. It's right across the street from Pastry Pub for at least the next 3 months. And then we're going to move. We'll talk about more about that in a minute. But I walked in, was not impressed. I was going to join the gym, and I walked in, and I didn't join the gym. I just didn't like kind of the vibe that was there, and I talked to somebody at the front desk. And so I walked out and told my wife we're going to have to do it at home and build our own garage gym, especially because we're only going to be here for a year. About 3 weeks later, we were eating at Central. I said, I'm just going to go back, just see if we want to sign up one more time. When I walked in, I talked to the guy at the front desk again, and it just came up that the owner was trying to sell the gym. He was trying to move to Africa and sell the gym. So I went home to my wife and was just like, hey, that gym's for sale. I think we should try and figure out how to buy it. How are we going to buy it? I don't know. How's that going to work? I don't know. Have you ever run a gym before? No. Who's going to work for us? I don't know. Well, let's just talk about it, right? So we go through that whole process. I start talking with the owner. Hey, I sit down a meeting. Don't know how much money he's asking. Don't know what the finances are. I just know I think I'd be pretty good at running a gym. It's something that we're super passionate about and something that I would love doing. So I sat down. After about 2 months, we bought the gym. So we moved here in August of 8. On October 1st, we own the gym, 100%. The old owner's moving out. He's going to Africa in December. Nobody to kind of help us figure it out, so we just jumped in with 2 feet and kind of figured it out along the way. We bought it October 1st of 2016. So it's been about a year and a half. In that time, we've been able to double the membership, double the monthly revenue, hire 1.5 full-time people, with where when we bought it, there were no full-time people. There were about 9 part-time coaches. And so when we came in, we really looked at, I want this to be a business. I want to make money doing this, and I want to make sure that I keep having fun. So what do I need to do to make sure that that happens? So I think a lot of us, when we look at a gym, we look at, I want big muscles, I want to look better with my clothes off, and I want to have a big chest and big biceps, guys, right? That's what a lot of us look at with the gym. And that was kind of the presence that was being pushed at that point with the gym, of just, CrossFit is scary. How many of you guys have ever heard of CrossFit and thought, oh my gosh, I can't do that? Everyone in here, right? Everyone. And Kristen's a member now, and SJ's a member now, Paul's a member now, and I think, did you say you had similar? Sure. Yeah, right, I'm scared. So what we try to do is we try to turn that on its head. How can I connect with people at a very emotional level? And so we changed our whole branding and motto from, I want to make you a better person and look better physically, to I want to empower your life. And fitness is a big, big part of that. And so that's something that we started preaching with our coaches, with ourselves, and that's something I really believe in, is that you are only as good as you invest in yourself. And it has to be in a whole person paradigm. You've got to take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And I think a lot of us, we're lacking in one or more of those areas. And if we're not working on it, that's what's pushing us, I think a lot of us, to being depressed, having anxiety. And so we took that approach. We said, I can fill the fitness part of that. I can make sure that when someone walks in our door for an hour a day, that the fitness and the physical part of that is not going to be a problem for them. And then how do we help them on the other stuff and feel like they're important to do it? And so that's kind of the vision that I took to our staff and the 9 people that we had at the time. And over the last year and a half, we've been able to consolidate and build a really, really strong professional team of coaches. That one guy that's there full time, another guy that's there, he teaches, and when he's not teaching, he's there with us, building our vision and helping us get to where we want to go. All of that, I promise you there were conversations with my wife of how we would do this. What does that mean? What does that really vision define? And you don't have to know. You just have to be willing to take one step at a time. And people I know that could buy the building for me, so I just start calling them. And things start to kind of fall into place. Some people start saying, yeah, I can fund that money. Yeah, I'd be willing to invest in that. And all of a sudden I'm starting to get excited, because what? Dude, I'm going to look like an idiot. Because I put an offer in on this building, I put earnest money in, I've kind of told some influential people in Cedar City that I'm going to buy this building, and in 30 days I'm going to go back and say, oh, actually we didn't get it because I really had no money. I really didn't know what I was doing. And so that's something that kept me up at night, and just kind of kept that motivation to keep working. So I start talking to people, and I finally find what I see as the perfect investor for this building. He's going to allow me to own part of the building. He's going to front the money to allow us to get the loan to buy the building and renovate the building to where we need it to be. So everything's sweet. I'm 2 weeks until I close. This guy calls me. Hey, I can only do half of what I said I could do. Dude, what are you talking about? I've got 2 weeks before I close. Literally 2 hours after I had that conversation, an opportunity walked through the door of my gym, gave me an opportunity, this is where I'm going to get emotional, gave me an opportunity to buy this building and own more than I was going to own before. I had no idea how that was going to happen. I don't really believe in fate, right? That things just happen. I think things do happen in our life, but that set us up for those defining moments. And if you put yourself in a position by working hard, being self-educated, then things are going to come around for you that you're going to be really, really surprised that they happen. And this was one for me. This guy's no joke. I'm sitting in my office. I'm a mess. I've been stressed. My wife's mad because I've been stressed for 2 weeks, and it just sucks. This guy walks through my door and says, "Hey, I've got an opportunity for you. What do you think about X, Y, and Z?" Yeah, and actually, I'm going to buy this building with that. Does that work? Do you want to go see it? Yeah, let's go see it. I'd never met this guy before in my life, but he had heard from people that I know, acquaintances that I have, and it just all came together to where yesterday we're signing on the building. Now I own a good portion of that building, and we're going to move the gym in. So I'm excited. I'm pumped, because that's going to get us to where we need to be in 3 to 5 years and give us some security. But I hope what you guys see in that story is that I didn't know the answers. Right? And sometimes that is really, really scary. I can't tell you how many nights in the last 45 days I didn't sleep. Right? I'm laying up in bed. I've got nothing to worry about. I can't do anything at 2 o'clock in the morning except worry, which is no good for our mental health. But what do? You just keep working. You just keep grinding. You just keep doing the best that you can, and things fall in place. And I'm not saying that, right, every opportunity you ever have is going to be somebody walks in your door and says, "Hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity to buy this building." You might have the 7 LLCs that failed, but it only takes that 1 or that 2 to where you're doing what you want to do, right? And you're killing it. So the last thing I kind of want to do is just a little activity, and then we'll close. We'll open up there it is, for some question and answers. But I want to give you guys an opportunity. I thought about coming in and like giving away money, but I know that my 25-year-old self would have went and spent that money on food or something that doesn't help me get anywhere. So I know that's more exciting for you, and I'm sorry. But here's what I got for you. These are 4 books that I feel like helped me a ton. Changed my life, helped me understand. The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes and The Power of Starting Something Stupid were 2 books that I read right before I quit my job. I just had a meeting with Richie Norton up in Salt Lake. He's from Hawaii, but we went, it was the first time my wife had met him, and she's like, "My husband read his book and then quit his job, and then we didn't have any money. Thanks for writing your book." But it's an excellent book on just taking your stupid ideas that the rest of the world is like, "That's dumb, that's not going to work," and then helping you figure out how do you make money at it. And if it really is a stupid idea, let it go. Good to Great, excellent book by Jim Collins. School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. He's got a podcast called The School of Greatness. Highly recommend listening to that. And then Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Guy Kawasaki. The first 3 people that read one of these books and reach out to me personally, either through my cell phone, my email, it's just Will at Crossing Cedar City, or Will Taylor on Instagram, I will have a prize for you at the gym, as well as a semester free at our facility. Okay? First 3 people read one of these books. If you've already read one of them, you got to pick another one. Cool? Because I can almost guarantee you haven't read these 2. Yeah? Has anybody read these 2 of them? Okay. So I know you might have read these 2. These ones are a lot more popular. But I know those 2 you haven't read. So I would recommend, if you've already read these, or even if you have, you'll read these at some point in your lives. Read those 2. They're killer. By good guys that aren't as well known. But first 3, all you got to do, reach out to me, come meet me at the gym, tell me what you learned. I'll have some stuff for you, and I'll give you a free semester at the gym. Cool? Yeah. Okay. All right, I think we've got like 7 minutes left. 5. Questions, any comments, things that you guys want to know? Yes, ma'am.
What do you do with the old building?
So we just leased that building.
Okay.
So now we'll just be out of that lease, and then hopefully they'll turn it into something cooler than a CrossFit gym.
What are the renovations you plan on doing?
The renovations. So if you guys have been in there in the big theater, it's sloped. The floor is sloped like this. We have to build a whole new floor on top of it. So that's going to be the biggest thing.
Okay.
Is we'll have to build that new floor. That main theater will become the main gym portion. And then the rest will be renovated to either put in offices, restaurants down the line. Just kind of up the main street of Cedar City is our goal. I want to be able to own a part of Cedar City. I love Cedar, guys. When I moved here, our plan was to be here for a year. And within 3 months, I don't ever want to leave. I love Cedar City. I think the lifestyle we can live here, the people that are here. So it's just sweet for me. And now to be able to own a little piece of the main town of it and be able to create it to where 5 to 10 years from now it's a vibrant kind of killer spot of the town. So that's our plan. Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of times that you like had nothing and not a lot of money to really work with.
Yep.
You touched a little bit on like you talked to like acquaintances and then like got some investors later on. Is that the same sort of thing that you did before? Because I'm like the same way. I don't like come for money or like don't know where I'm gonna get a bunch of money, but I like to start things. But like, what
So
do you
there's two
do
things.
to do that?
One, do as much as you can without any money. That's something that I've learned a lot, is I kind of, this mindset that, hey, I need 10 grand, I need 50 grand, I need 100 grand to start something. You really don't. And a lot of ideas, if you really dive into it, you can get pretty far without going in and getting any capital invested. And so I've learned that a lot, and just kind of, with me, I'm a dreamer. Like, ask my wife, I go from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. And she's always like, hey, we have to go back to step 2 to get to 60. Because if these don't happen, then your dreams don't happen, right? So, step it back, whatever your dream is, right? Like whatever you're trying to do, can I do it one step farther back? Like, can I do something right now that may not be exactly what I want to do, but that will help me get there in the future? Because especially when you start going to ask for money from people, you got to have something. So if you go to somebody and say, hey, I need even 10 grand to start this, what do you have? An idea. Most people are going to say, okay, come back when you've done something else. Like, get that idea going. If you want to start a food truck, go sell that food off a table somewhere. Then you can come to somebody and say, hey, I sold a table. I made $300 in this day. I think it'll work. That conversation goes way, way different. I'll tell you, sorry, I'll shut up about this conversation. When I went to get money for this building, I kind of got different responses of like, have you ever bought a building this big before? Have you ever renovated a building this big before? No, no, no. And then I got taught a lot. So I learned a ton through the process. But these guys who have done it before and had the money to go pay cash for this building, their conversation switched when I called them back and said, hey, we bought the building today. When I talked to them this last week and said, hey, I'm closing on Tuesday, that conversation now became, oh, can you find me a building in Southern Utah? I'd like to have some buildings down there. It's very, very different once you do something. Does that help?
Nobody on their deathbed says, I wish I would have spent more time in the office, because obviously they hate it, right?
Yep.
How has your quality of life changed as you started to do things that you love rather than things that...
Way, way up. Man. I just talked to somebody the other day. I was at lunch with Tyler, another guy, and I was kind of telling my story a little bit. And and he kind of helped me realize this. We really started with the end in mind. If I could do anything in the world, I would go be at the gym. That's what I would do. I would coach people at the gym. I would be a mentor and a coach in some capacity. I just started that backwards. And so for me, that's been really nice. I wish I would have made $1 million. I still need to make $1 million, right? Not there yet. But I wish sometimes you think, okay, I'm going to make $5 million. Then I'm going to go buy a gym and just do it for fun. I just think find ways to do things that you love that's also going to be financially viable, and then do it. And your quality of life is awesome. I was working at my old job. I would leave the house at 4:30. I'd go to the gym at 5. I'd go straight to my office at 6:30, shower in the office, and then I would be there from 7 to 6:30 p.m. Right? Had everything I think a lot of us put on a pedestal in the corporate world as far as lifestyle, but like I was working 13 hours. I have a book of my son's first year of life. I am not in that book. I'm not in it, and it's not on purpose. Like, we didn't take pictures without me. I just wasn't there. So now I had a daughter that was born. So we bought the gym in August 2016. My wife was 8 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant. She was born in October. I've been there for her. Like, I know her. You know what I mean? So it's definitely increased a lot. And I'm happier, right? Like, I enjoy what I do because I'm building what I want to do. I can come here and be excited because I want you guys to go do the same thing, and I love it. Yeah.
So, like those people you're talking to, how they said, oh, how are you going to do it? And then all of a sudden you started doing it. And then their question switched to, oh, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
Are those investors or?
Yeah, some of them were.
Some of them were.
Yep. Some of them were again like acquaintances that I know from family or through friends that I knew had money that could do something. And so I just reached out and called.
Seems like they're kind of I think, I like those questions from our last year's thinking out like validation, like see if this will actually work. But it seems like some of them, are they even, do you feel like some of them are even trying to help you by asking how you're gonna do these goals that you have in mind, or they're actually asking questions that are gonna help you further what you have with your vision?
I think there's both. And this is why I think you need to read these books and why you need to be educated and go out and have some failures. Because you need to know the difference between a mentor that wants to help you succeed and a mentor that's trying to make money off of you. And they're both fine. Like, you can have both of those and coexist. But something that I've seen a lot is, some people just aren't going to validate you. And you've got to prove that by having some amount of worth and adding value. But you gotta know the difference, and I've known the difference. I've had a lot of conversations of people telling me to do something where 3 years ago I was like, oh yeah, that's the ticket. And now I know, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Or you have to be able to tell the difference between who knows what they're talking about, who doesn't, and who applies to you, right? That's something else that I think is really important. There's a lot of people out there that want to tell you what to do, myself included. Some of the things I said today, maybe all of it, doesn't apply to what you want to do. And that's okay, right? There's people that kill it in the online space or do online personal training. That's not what I do. So sometimes when we talk, it's very different. And you have to be educated enough to know the difference. Does that help when I got off?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
It seems to me that you have made a lot of kind of risky decisions. So I'm wondering how your family, your in-laws, your parents, your siblings, and how everyone's kind of reacted. Is it just
I'm gonna let my wife answer that. I'm crazy. That's how they think. So here's my family. I love my family. They're awesome. My dad's in the Army. I would say one of the most, not the most secure jobs, but fairly secure, right? Like, you know what you're going to get, and he excels at that. He is very, very good at that job. My grandpa's an orthodontist. My uncle's a lawyer. My other uncle's an accountant. My other uncle is accountant, lawyer, something else in the professional field. And those are great. They kill it in that. But that's not what I want, right? That wasn't for me. And so sometimes when I go to them with ideas, like my grandpa jokes all the time. They all live in Utah County, and every time we go up, this new joke is like, oh, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? Oh my gosh, what are you doing now? And it's just kind of a funny thing. And I think you have to be okay with that as an entrepreneur, especially if you are a true blue entrepreneur. You're going to fail, you're going to learn from it, you're going to move on, and you have to be okay with that. Because there was a lot of times in my early career, like with that fitness expo, it didn't go like I thought it was going to be FitCon. I thought we were going to have Jay Cutler and Peyton Manning and all these guys just want to show up. They didn't show up, right? And so I was kind of down, and like people kind of came and said, oh, well, that didn't go as well. Maybe I made a little money, but you got to be okay with that. You got to bounce back because you have to believe in yourself, right? Because a lot of times it comes back to that of, like, you have a vision that some people don't see or don't understand. How bad do you believe in that vision that you're going to go find the resources to make it happen, even though they're not there yet, and they're not clear? Because if it was clear, we all do it. Hey, here's the line, go make $1 million. Oh, sweet, I'm in. You know?
I want to thank